Yo, what's up, everybody? It's your man Ice. I know it's been a minute since the last time I put out my last video, but I like to bring videos when I have a lot to talk about and there's a lot of content, something good, so I'm not just putting out videos all the time just talking about bullshit. And the first thing I want to talk about, man, is this whole E-League thing that everybody talking about. You know, I see a lot of videos about people posting and people complaining about there might not be no more parks and all of that, and that's a concern. But the more pressing issue, man, is that the NBA and 2K is moving toward this whole player accountability thing, and that is huge. And I'm not getting the sense that the 2K community may be understanding how important player accountability is to these NBA owners, or fully getting the gist of what these NBA players and the players union have bought into and what they represent. And now here we have 2K, who is going to end up faced with that pressing issue that I spoke of. Well, at least not 2K, but the community, because not everyone from the community, whether they realize it or not, will be invited to this party, and that may exclude some of the top players in their game.
Your dreams matter to me. Your goals matter. Your talents.
Now, here's where I'd like to ask some of the more serious questions that are going to come up. Like, how well do you know that guy that's on your friends list and on your team? You know, what is he like once he turns the game off? Or what is he like at home when no one's around or when you're not around, you know? Or who his family is or who his friends are? And what type of influences do they have on him? You know, like, these are serious questions that are going to need to be answered. Like, can you imagine if this guy here was a starting small forward for the Milwaukee Bucks or the Utah Jazz, and he was picked up out in the park for exposing himself? Can you imagine what type of questions the NBA would have to answer? And I mean, trust me, the NBA doesn't want any more heat. They don't want to have to answer any more questions about anything else that would give the NBA a black eye. So, you know, while we might be thinking that, you know, it's as simple as, you know, just spark a Dutch and catch some ankles and, you know, get your mic on, you know, there's going to be a job. And if there's a job, then the IRS is going to get involved. And if the IRS is involved, then background information is going to be involved. They're going to start to want to know a bit more about you. I mean, it's just something for you to think about, man. Just something to think about.
Call Kevin.
Now, here's where I want to speak directly to the problem of what's wrong with 2K17. We're going to get to the crux of the situation. And it's not all the flawed archetype system or the fact that there's an archetype system in place at all. But moreover, there's a much greater problem afoot. And it's the main reason why Mike Wang and the dev team broke 2K17 and have people now saying that this is the worst 2K game ever created. But the answer is simple. Just pay attention and listen to what the announcers have to say.
And here's, of course, the most talked about player in this tournament, Dimes. Let's check out his perspective right here. Of course, playing on that 2K view, you can see the whole entire floor. So when you come into NBA 2K and see that broadcast view, very much mirrors what you see on the real NBA broadcast. But of course, players like to see that whole floor, see all the spacing, Scott.
Yes, it's a very popular camera view. That
to see the whole floor, that's supposed to come from high basketball IQ. Or understanding the game of basketball. That's not supposed to be an option in the menus. That's how we're supposed to determine who the top point guards are, or who the top players are. The guys with vision, the guys who can see the floor. You don't just give that away for free. You done took all of the tough or hard basketball decisions out of the guys' hands. Y'all giving away all of the hard shit for free. And then y'all turn around, Mike Wang, y'all break your game because y'all stuck with trying to make the easy shit hard. Then at the beginning of 2K17, y'all said the skills were going to matter. Y'all were going to put in place a skills gap.
How, Sway?
And the only thing that you had to bring to the table to determine skill was who could use the shot stick or press a button. But that's why it failed. Because y'all raising a whole community of button mashers. And look, I'm willing to tell you that if anyone points to anything else other than the camera angle as to being the main reason why this game is being considered by so many as broken or the worst 2K game ever, or why the dev team cannot find the sweet spot as to where to put the game and how the game should be played, you're bullshitting. And I'd be willing to tell you to your face and prove it to you. Because scientific fact is, the further away from the floor you are, even if you're spectating the game, the slower the action. When you go to an NBA game, it looks like you can play. When you're up in the stands, it doesn't look that hard. But now if we put you in the uniform and put you down on the floor, that shit speeds up. And the reality is, the same guys that blast this game, that say that 2K is terrible and say that this game isn't shit, are the same guys that if you actually put them down on the floor and we got to tap into seeing who has an actual high basketball IQ, those guys wouldn't be half as good as they are. But they get to play an arcade game. Why? Because they get to watch and see how a defense develops, how the whole play is going to play out. They get to see it. They get to know exactly how wide open they are. Take away some of their ability to see exactly what's going on. Let them use their perception. Let them use IQ. Let them read. And then we can get to the real crux. We can get to the real basketball sense and essence of this game, man. And let me say this. When y'all cut to that player perspective, the camera angle, for some strange or odd reason, I was holding out hope that I would see something that would make these guys look like pros. But I didn't get
giant bicycle.
What you guys gave us
hello,
was
Marcus.
this.
Step.
And for those of you who may be watching this video and feeling like I'm just talking shit, let's delve a bit deeper into the problem with this game. Okay, and we're going to first look at what they call the icon button, in which I don't personally call it the icon button. I call it the power-up button. Because, one, the first problem is you get to see the whole entire floor. Two, they give you an icon button, in which I feel as though it's straight bullshit. Because I don't even call it the icon button, I call it the power-up button. And it reminds me of one of those old school games where you get the magical powers, and the first sign of trouble, you can just hit the button and you get out of trouble. And trust me, I am not saying to get rid of the icon button. That is not what I'm saying here. Because I also understand that directional passing in 2K has forever in the day been ass cheeks. But now what I am saying is that some of the funniest shit ever is to listen to some of these so-called top ball players in their stream arguing about who the top point guards or playmakers are in this game. And this is the type of goofy shit that you see the guards coming up the floor doing with that icon button. And as if the game wasn't easy enough, they had a nerve to introduce championship DNA. So one, you get to see the whole floor. Two, you get an icon button so you can pass out of trouble. And three, you know exactly when a double team is coming because the defender's feet is going to light up fucking red. Now, if you still don't understand what I'm saying, let's look at this from the perspective of playing quarterback. When a quarterback is down on the field, he's required to read and make right judgment calls. But when a quarterback is failing or he's not doing so well, they'll give him the game footage where he'll go back and he'll be able to see the overhead, in which is giving them the answers to a test that they've just taken. And now bringing it back to 2K, you've given them the answers already to a test before they even take it. To sum it up, the game is cannibalizing itself. Because I'm not even speaking of the defensive advantages that this camera angle provide. Because most of the top teams, they sit in the 2-3 zone. And anytime you have a guy that has the corner responsibility, and he can see or watch his man standing in the corner, and at the same time, without even batting a fucking eye, watch the guy at the top of the key with the basketball, come on, man. It should be plain and simple to see what the problem is here. And here's an example of when you're down on the floor, and the defense is right in your face. And you have to have the basketball acumen to not pick up the charge, but yet still see your teammate across the floor wide open. And it does require high basketball IQ to know when to advance the ball or to see a play before it even develops. And then transition, when you have numbers, it should either be drive all the way to the bucket and dish, or kick, depending on if the defense collapses on you and if you have a knockdown shooter on your team. And like on this play right here, I purposely ran around that screen because that's something that I practice. And it takes IQ to understand how to do that. And right here, let's look at what the floor spacing is supposed to look like. Here are a few examples of when you have to make judgment calls on whether or not you should shoot the ball, even if you know your jump shot and you're not handed a definite answer. And when you put a move on a defender, you have to really commit and have bad intentions because there's no safety net and you're not going to have anybody to pass out to. And trust me, if a better camera angle was implemented that was more of a challenge, you would have guys taking far less wide open looks. And we wouldn't have to worry about Mike Wang fucking with our jump shots and asking questions on Twitter like, what should our field goal percentage be on wide open looks? Now, here's where a bit more logic should be applied. How is it that we're able to look back over our shoulder in transition and see the basketball? Plus, we can still see in front of us and see the basket. This is where, again, basketball IQ should come into play, where we have to determine whether we should either shoot the ball or how we should attack the basket, depending on where the defender is.
Now, I don't want anyone to get it confused. I recognize that 2K puts out a great game every year, but I believe that the one thing that they're not considering is the fact that there is a gift and a curse that comes along with doing that, where players are going to spend countless hours on this game, and the challenge has to be much greater than just the timing or releasing of a button.
And now, I'm so confident in what I'm saying that I can use Mike Wang's words against him. When Mike Wang asked everybody what should be the field goal percentage on wide open threes, that should have told you right there. The answer to that question is simple. What has the guy been doing all game? Because I'm going to be real with you, I wouldn't give a fuck if he was a sharpshooter. If he's been playing like dog shit all game, no, the shot shouldn't go down for him. No, it shouldn't turn green. But if you have a guy who has been getting out, playing good transition defense, who's been boxing out, getting good passes, great shot selection, great spacing.
And if he's a perimeter player and he gets open from three, I don't care what the archetype. Let him knock it down and let it be effective. Let him kill the other team and tell his story about how great he is. But we're not getting that. And instead what we're getting is what you see here, a bunch of standing around, and which is what the whole entire 2K community is now doing, and which is a direct result of the game cannibalizing itself. Because while the 2K camera angle makes it way too easy to play offense, it also provides too many unfair advantages on defense, where you have defenders who are defending that man out of the three-point line, and they can also see across the court and see exactly where the basketball is at. So what do you think they're going to do? They're going to exploit the camera angle and go run off and help out on the basketball. And now 2K's idea of fixing this is to implement a secondary archetype system, because the guys that are being left out at the three-point line are not your three-point shooters. They're your playmakers, your slashers, and your lockdown defenders, who ends up stuck sitting in the fucking corner in order to hit a three. And if you don't want to sit in the corner, then you create a sharpshooter. And now the game loses a bit of the basketball feel because sharpshooters can't create off the dribble. But one thing they can do is knock down wide open threes, but which is going to bring you back to the same problem where Mike Wang asked that question, what should players shoot on wide open threes? And that question arose after almost the whole entire 2K community created sharpshooters, and guys were just standing around just green lighting threes. And that scared the shit out Mike Wang, because he did not want to see that happening to his game, especially going into the E-League. And so now who is to blame? Who should be punished? Do you blame the defender for running off and leaving his man and helping out on the basketball because he knows his man is not a shooter? Or do you blame and punish the offense Because if he's a point guard, he's normally 6'7", and he's a playmaker, and he's going to spam dribble moves until the rating system activates, and eventually it's going to make the defender take a misstep. Or he's a 6'5", 175-pound sharpshooter, and of course, he's left-handed and he uses jump shot base 17. Either way, they're both going to come up court and do the same exact thing. Jump from side to side around their big man who has Hall of Fame brick wall. And now, seeing as though the brick wall Hall of Fame screen is the main reason that the entire 2K community is now hiding in the 2-3 zone. So Mike Wang was left to do the only thing that he could do. In desperation, break the jump shooting system completely all the way across the board, which backed the entire 2K community into a corner. This is why now you see everyone standing around using the same exact jump shot, that jump shot base 17 or high school 1, along with everyone running the same exact offense. And that being said, the game is officially broken because it has become both stagnated on offense as well as defense. And if you want to fix your game or ensure that the same problems that you ran into in 2K17 you don't run into again in 2K18, then I strongly encourage you to do away with the 2K camera angle. Because on offense, players should not be allowed to see how open they are or exactly when they get open. That should be a judgment call. And on defense, the defender should not be allowed to watch his man out near the three-point line as well as keep an eye on the basketball. And if his teammate is thinking about rotating to pick up his man in case he leaves, his man goes to cut, his teammate should lose his guy. Whereas someone should be lost in the switch unless this team has been practicing perfect rotation. This also gives back some advantage to the sharpshooters, where the defender isn't reminded constantly of how far out he is. But instead of being able to see the whole entire floor where he can see where he's at, he would have to look down at his feet and see how far away from the three-point line he is. And this would allow the sharpshooters to get a line to the basket. And there should be some sacrifice on defense as well as offense. If you look left, you can't see right or you can't see behind you. It's not all given to you. And if you keep looking in the wrong direction, guess what? You have a low IQ. You just can't fucking play. That's bottom line. That's how it is in real life. And if the player lock camera angle is not the answer, well then it's damn well close. Because truthfully, the only thing that needs to be added to it is for us to be allowed to stop the camera from rotating, or for us to be able to press the bumper or the analog stick so that we can look left or right, or draw the camera back so that we can see the baseline in case somebody's cutting back door, like we're looking over our shoulder. But if you enjoyed this video, hit like and subscribe. I'm working on my second video that also get into the gameplay and the archetypes and a whole bunch of other funny stuff that 2K put. There's a lot of cool shit with this game, but they just have it scattered all over the place. But in the meantime, in between time, stay frosty, y'all.